So this episode comes from a place of I just had to ask myself, am I doing what's necessary to get to my goal? Like really point blank, am I showing up 100% no matter how I feel or what's going on? Am I doing the things that are going to get me to my goal? You know? And so I figured we need to talk about it because if I need to hear it, maybe someone else is going through that. And then I could see if I am showing up and doing 100% and it's not moving the needle, then maybe things need to be tweaked. Okay, so we just need to find out. Maybe I'm showing up like I need to, maybe I'm not. But if you don't talk about it and you don't own it and get it out there, then you'll never know. So, hey, let's do this. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about quitting on yourself. Like seriously quitting on yourself. And I don't know where you're at. I don't know where you've been. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've gone through. But I do know that, man, you've quit on yourself way too many times. Like over and over and over again. And why is that? Why do we think that when we're going through something, we can just quit? We just quit. I don't know if it gets overwhelming. I don't know if maybe we're just not seeing what we want to see. And so we just quit on ourselves. I mean, that could be it. Are we all or nothing? I think that's a key thing right there. See, so many times we try to be perfect in everything that we do. When we're a little bit off, then boom, it's over. Like we can't do it anymore. In our mind, we failed. When the picture is so much bigger than that, like we're not failures. We're learning from that. We fell down. Yeah, that's cool. But we learned from it and we moved on. But what happens when we just quit? So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Wherever you're at and whatever you want to do, how much are you willing to put in to get the result that you want to get? Like that's key. That is so key. And it has to do with everything that you face in life. So if you're a parent and your kid keeps going through something over and over and over again, are you going to address it? Are you just going to let it slide? What's going to happen? Otherwise, if you don't address it, they keep doing it over and over again. And then it becomes your choice to let it go on. So I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes we think we've done everything to get where we want to get. But when we look at it, we really haven't. We've quit on ourselves. We quit. We quit pushing. We quit doing the tasks that need to be done. We let our feelings control what we're going to do next. And then we make an active choice to sit back and just not do anything. Yet we tell ourselves, yep, we're doing everything we can. We're doing everything. But we're not. And then all of a sudden we quit. So how many times have you quit? Frame it like this. If you're at work and you're tasked to do one certain job, say, I don't know, whatever you need to do, say you need to do this one certain job and they give it to you and say you're flipping burgers and you need to flip 10 burgers in 10 minutes. Well, then you get a little lackadaisy and you just flip 5 burgers every 10 minutes. But you do it and there's no consequences for it. So to you, it's okay. Like you just set the standard that it's all right. Even though I'm supposed to do 10, nobody said anything when I only did 5. So I'm just going to keep going. But really, you're kind of quitting on yourself because you're just doing the necessary stuff to do nothing. You're not rising above anything. You just know that nobody called you out, so you can get away with it. So you're going to keep doing it. When really, shouldn't you say, I'm supposed to do 10, I need to do 10, and keep reaching for 10? But majority of people don't. They're just going to do what they can get by with. And that's how it's been with you when you're trying to do, say, you're trying to lose fat and you're trying to lose weight. What got you to the point that you're at right now? Say you've lost 10 pounds. Whatever you're doing now isn't going to get you to the next step. It's not going to get you farther, but you think it is, so you keep doing it. But then when it doesn't get you there, you're like, oh my goodness, I've done everything, but it's not getting me there. And then you quit. So why are you quitting on yourself? Just up what you're doing. Show up for yourself. Be consistent in everything you do. Don't be like everyone else around you. Everyone else around you is just going to do the necessary thing to get by. But you're not that person. You're not going to keep doing what's necessary to get by. You rise to do better. You know that God has greater plans for you. You know he does. So why are you just sitting back and doing things that everyone else is doing? What they do doesn't matter to you. Don't let them set your standard. Don't let them set your bar. You set your standard. Your standard is to rise above. And as you're doing that, you're going to give yourself grace. And you're going to keep moving farther and give yourself a little more grace. When you don't get exactly where you want to go, give yourself a little grace. Don't quit. And don't lower your standard. Ask yourself, say, this is where I want to get in this amount of time. And then be realistic. How much work are you willing to put in to get the result that you want to get? Like, seriously, how much work? So if you want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, are you willing to put in the work that's necessary every single day to get there? Are you willing to show up for yourself every day and log your food? Log everything and be honest with yourself? Are you willing to have a day that's going to be not as good as the other days, but you still show up for yourself and give yourself grace and realize you're human and it's okay? You're not all or nothing. You showed up with only 50% in you and you gave 100% of that 50%. And you will have those days. Are you willing to do that? Or are you willing to, you don't show up one day and so you say, forget it. And so then that one day turns into 2 days. And that 2 days turns into 3 days. So you quit on yourself. So then really, you're not willing to put the work in that's necessary to get where you want to go. But yet you want to complain about it all the time. And say you're doing everything you can. And say you're showing up. And say nothing's working for you. When really, you're just showing up when you feel like it. You're just putting in the work enough that can skate where you can like just get by a little bit. That makes you feel a little comfortable. And then when you start to get uncomfortable, you back off a little bit. In reality, that's what you're doing. And then you end up quitting on yourself. So that's what you have to look at. What are you willing to do? And if you can't make certain things a priority, adjust. Just adjust. It's okay. We have different seasons. Different things happen in different seasons. That's okay. But just be real with yourself. And just say, okay, well, this has to move a little bit down on my list. I'm going to move it down, but I'm not going to quit on myself. I'm going to show up because I'm worth it. I'm going to keep doing the necessary task. And I'm going to show up every single day. And I'm going to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. And that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to quit. So tell yourself that. When you wake up, tell yourself how grateful you are. And throughout the day, whenever your brain tries to tell you, oh, you didn't do this right. You didn't do this all the way. You kind of messed up over here. You're going to shut it down. You're going to think of 3 things that you did. And you're going to pat yourself on the back because those are wins. You're going to acknowledge those small wins. And you're going to shut down the voice that's telling you that those aren't wins. You're going to shut down people around you that tell you that those aren't wins. If they got to call you out instead of calling you up, shut them down. You don't need them in your corner because they're really not in your corner. Not everyone is meant to grow with you. And that's something that may be hard to face. But it's okay. If they're not meant to grow with you, don't let them stop you from growing. Just acknowledge it and leave them where they're at so you don't fall. You got to continue growing, and it's okay. But if you don't shut the stuff down around you, you're going to stay where you're at. And you're going to quit on yourself over and over and over. So is that what you want to do? I don't think it is. I really don't. I just think sometimes you get so comfortable with the people around you that it's your safe zone. It's like your safe place. And it's okay to have a safe place. I mean, that's all right. You need a safe place, but then you need to rise above. You need to do what you know you can do. You need to do what you don't even think you could do. You need to do what you dream of. You need to keep going. You need to keep pushing through everything. And if you're not falling as you're going through it, you're doing something wrong. You seriously are. Because there are going to be some bumps and bruises along the way. There's going to be some falling down. That's the great part of the journey. Because in each one of those is where you learn and you grow. And they're what keep you going. So did you think that the journey you're on is going to be linear? And you're just going to start here. And then all of a sudden, 30 days later, you're going to wake up and you're going to reach wherever you want to reach in 30 days and everything's going to be fine. That's like a huge fantasy. Because that is not going to happen. And if it does, wow. Just wow. 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 And if you're used to it happening like that, that's kind of like playing sports and everybody gets a trophy when they don't have to do anything. You just show up. And that's all you're doing is showing up. You don't learn anything, you just show up. But you're in it to learn something because this is for the long haul. This is for the rest of your life. This is for you just knowing that life is going to throw things at you over and over and over, and it's okay. It may be painful, but it's okay. Because you keep showing up. You give yourself grace, and you show up a little bit better every single time. So what are you willing to do to reach the goal that you want to reach? Ask yourself. And if the answer is you're willing to only do the thing that you're doing right now, you're never going to reach that goal. It's never going to happen because you can't get to something greater doing the same thing that you're doing now. Because what got you right here now is not going to get you to where you want to be. You got to step your game up. And it's not all or nothing. You're just going to be all in what you're doing. You're going to be tunnel vision on what you're doing. Tunnel vision on showing up every single day and putting the work in. Because you're only as good as your best excuse. That's it. And sometimes you're not going to want to show up. You're just not going to. And you're going to want to quit on yourself. Because when you don't show up that one day, you're going to be down the dumps. And you're thinking, dang it. I failed again. I can't do this. I can't do it. And that one day is going to turn into 2. It's going to turn into 3. And it's going to turn into a week. And then you're going to look up and that week's going to turn into a month. And then a year from now, you're in the same spot. All because that one day when you didn't feel like showing up. So you didn't show up. When you could have flipped it. And on that one day when you didn't feel like showing up, you said, okay, I feel like doing 10%. Or I've only got 10% in me. So you show up with that 10%. And you give 100% of that 10%. You gave the best of you for that day that you had. You did not let your emotions drive what you were doing. Because here's the thing. If you have a certain goal, then you need to look at the things that you're doing. And if those certain things aren't going to help you reach your goal, you need to cut them loose. Just cut them loose. If they're not helping you, then they're hindering you and they're holding you back. And you've been holding on to those things for so long. And then you wonder why you're not getting anywhere. It's because you have a goal and you want to do something, but you're not willing to get rid of the things that don't help you get closer to that goal. You're just not willing to do it. So that's why you're stuck where you are. And you don't want to be stuck, but also you don't want to be uncomfortable. So I'm just saying this one time. How about just say, forget it? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to jump in and do it. I'm just going to get a little uncomfortable. Get a little uncomfortable. Kind of like when you're taking a shower, and now this whole thing with like doing cold showers or this and that. I don't understand because I've done that for a long time. But anyway, I was like, well, let me try and do a cold shower, a super, super cold shower, even longer. Dude, I think I lasted for like a minute at the end. And I was like, this is too much. I'm not willing to get that uncomfortable. I would just tell you. A minute is cool enough with me. Maybe a year from now, it might be up to 10 minutes. I don't even know. But I own it. I'm not willing to get uncomfortable and sit there in some cold water. I don't care how good it is for me. I really don't care. I'm not willing to do it. So when it comes to you and a goal that you're doing, get real with yourself. Are you willing to give up 10 minutes of scrolling on your phone to put in 10 more minutes towards the goal you want to reach? What's more important to you? Scrolling and being in everybody's business, or getting closer to the goal you want for you and your family? It's up to you. But if you're not willing to do it, just own it. Just say, hey, I'm just not willing to do it right now. That's cool. Maybe a month from now, you'll be willing to do it. But you'll be honest with yourself. You won't be quitting on yourself. You're just owning it. And then you can start moving on. But the problem is when you don't own it and you don't get real with yourself and say, okay, I'm not willing to give this one thing up or get a little uncomfortable, then what happens is you keep chasing that goal. And because you're not willing to get uncomfortable or give something up, you start to fall short. So when you start to fall short on something, you just quit, and you quit on yourself. And then you quit on yourself again over and over and over. So what I'm trying to do is help you recognize that that's a painful growth thing. I mean, you need this painful part here, but you could kind of bypass it by just writing it down and being real with yourself, saying, okay, I want to do this Z over here, but I'm not willing to give up X and Y to get there. That's going to save you a lot. It really is. Because then you're going to own it. You'll be like, okay, that's what the problem is. I'm not willing to give this up. So I can't reach this because I'm not willing to give that up. So instead of quitting on myself over and over again, I'm just going to realize that, hey, maybe in a month I'll be ready, but right now I'm not. And then it also changes your mental aspect on it over and over again. Like it just does. It flips that thing in your brain that where your brain keeps telling you, nope, you failed. You failed. You just keep quitting on yourself. You can't do this. It flips it to say, no, I can do this. I'm just not willing to put in the work or the effort or get uncomfortable to do what's necessary to go farther and reach that goal. That's point blank. That's the truth. That's just being real with yourself. That's just setting you up to succeed the next time you go forward. So how are you going to approach it the next time? Are you going to sit back and go be like, okay, it's all or nothing? Or are you going to say, all right, what am I willing to give up? How important is this to me? Because priorities are never in conflict. So if you really want to do it, what are you going to do to get there? What are you willing? How much effort are you willing to put in? Because if you say you really want to, let's say you really want to lose, let's say 10 pounds. Let's say 10 pounds in 6 weeks. And I'm telling you okay, I need you to log your food. Well, you log it for 1 day, then you log it for 2 days, and you go to log it for 3 days, and you're like, man, that's just too time consuming. I just can't do it. No, you really don't want to lose that weight. You really don't want to see what you're eating. You want the end thing, but you're not willing to make the sacrifice or do what's necessary to get there. So just be honest with yourself and just say, okay, according to my track record, I can log my food for 1 or 2 days. And then after that, man, it just gets so tedious to me. And I don't know why, but I just don't do it. Then we can talk about that. Maybe you get overwhelmed. Maybe it just like freaks you out going through all this stuff. That's cool. You own it. We talk about it. We set up a new plan for you. Maybe you don't need to log your things like that. Maybe you can take a picture that fits better in your lifestyle. But you see how we do that? We just adjust it so that it fits what you're doing so you can still keep going and reach your goal. Because what you were doing before was a little overwhelming. So we're going to start at one point and work your way up there. But if it were up to you, you would just quit. Because you'd get too overwhelmed and you'd be done. Do you see where I'm going there? We need to frame things and what's going to work for you. And do these steps and acknowledge each little step on the way to get you to where you want to go. But it takes the little baby steps. So you can't quit on yourself, okay? I'm not going to let you quit on you. God has created you to do great things. And so many things out there depend on you. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to write down your goal. You're going to put a time frame on it. And then you're going to put down, what do you need to do to reach this goal? And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write something to yourself on how important that goal is to you. What your life will look like when you reach that goal. How that goal is going to affect you and your family. You're going to write all that stuff down. And then you're going to write on there how this goal, it really means something to you. And you are not going to give up on yourself. You are going to show up for yourself every single day. And no, every single day is not going to look the same. There are going to be a lot of bad days. And there are going to be good days. But sometimes the bad days are going to outweigh the good days. And that's okay. Because you're going to keep showing up. And you're going to write this note that says, no matter how your day is, no matter how your feelings get in the way, no matter whether you're motivated or you're not motivated, you are going to show up for you. Because when this goal happens, the impact that it has on your family and that it has on you and the people around you is going to be amazing. And that you are so worth it that you're not going to give up on yourself. So you're going to write that to yourself. And then you're going to sign it. And you're going to date it. And every time you feel like you can't show up, you're going to look at that. And you're going to look at how you're going to feel when you reach this goal. How important it is to you. What it's going to do for your family. You're going to look at that. And things will need to be tweaked and adjusted along the way, and that's okay. But this is going to be a reminder that you will not quit on yourself. That you will show up every single day. Just for today. Just this one day. And you will get there. And you're going to be honest with yourself. Once you're honest with yourself, it all changes. So the one thing you're not going to do is quit on yourself, okay? So I hope this helped you. I hope this showed you a way to kind of reframe things. Because you need to stop quitting on yourself. Just stop. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself and show up for yourself. You're setting an example for everyone around you. And everyone needs to see that. You have so much to offer. All right? So show up for yourself and don't quit on yourself. All right? Have a great day.